Good afternoon. I'm going to start welcoming everybody to our Zoom session today, live on YouTube. My name is Mark Knowles, and we'll get started here in just a minute. If you're on YouTube, then you're getting a preview of what's coming. We'll get started in about 2 minutes after the hour. Good afternoon. I'm going to start welcoming everyone to our Zoom session today, where we're going to be talking about using AI to help. And this is a session I actually will be on broadcasting live on YouTube for those who are using that platform. Unfortunately, I will not be allowing recording or AI activities within this session, even despite we're talking about AI. We will have the results, the information immediately after. And so you can actually get a video from YouTube Live from just by going to I'll point that out as we go along. So nothing personal, but you will see a decline for some of those for either recording or using a notes taker. Okay, thank you. We'll get started in probably about 2 more minutes. Make sure we got enough time for individuals to get into the room. Okay. Hello again, everyone. My name is Mark Knowles. I'm one of the founders of GovDirections, and here today we're going to do a presentation on using the GovDirections RFP Writer GPT, and we want to show you how to, you make it a part of your daily activities when you're responding to requests for proposals or invitations to bid. This is meant to be an interactive session, and you can ask questions. Feel free to do that by either one, raising your hand. It should be an option in the Zoom, or two, typing that into a chat, and then finally three, just interrupt and ask me to stop. I can't always see the questions as we're going along, so I don't want to miss anybody's question. I will also give a time at the end where we won't be recording that I'll have for you to ask questions and provide as many answers as I can. But this is meant to be an interactive session, and we appreciate you taking time to join us, and we'll have individuals come online. A couple questions I always get is, one, is it recorded? Yes, it's live on YouTube right now. It'll be immediately available to you after. You're not a current subscriber on the YouTube channel, just go in there and subscribe, and it'll actually alert you in the future, but you should be able to download it. And so we'll get started here. I'll start off really on this session just with our website to make sure everybody's logging in and understands how it works. And we do speak specifically to our RFP writing services, which is meant to be an experiential process. And, we operate under that proverb, teach a person to fish and they'll be able to eat for a lifetime. And I really do believe that. And so everything we do in our company is built around that goal and that objective. And so as a part of that, one thing we learned early on, it's not just finding the bids. As you know, we're the largest aggregator of bids, meaning that we're pulling bids from all different sources in this fragmented marketplace. In fact, sometimes I actually just quickly show this screen just to kind of illustrate that fragmentation. 140,000 plus agencies, and sometimes they're using third-party providers to actually host the portals, and it just gets really unwieldy sometimes, almost like a puzzle, puzzle box. You open up thousands of pieces sometimes until you actually start putting it together. It cannot make sense to many of us, so that fragmentation becomes a business problem, and we have stepped in since 1998 to solve that problem. Serving some hundred, I think we're going to pass 140,000 companies this week who have proactively registered to use our services. And while we don't work directly with any specific government, it's just a decision we've always made, and so we can have a focus on our membership. Governments do like us, and we like governments, and about 80% of our bids and or RFPs are published and delivered through rfpdelivery.com. If you're not using this platform, if you're using our GovDirections legacy platform, I'd like to encourage you to step forward and take on these new new processes that are advantageous to you and help you really pinpoint and improve your ability to win. Any membership at GovDirections is included. So your username and password is already active. Just log in. Now, if you already are using RFP delivery, I want to encourage you to stay there because it's got a lot more power and benefits to you. And so that you can give us a call anytime you have questions here at our Contact Us. But as a part of that, you're able to very quickly go in and actually do some tools to actually find a bid. And then after that happens, what do you do? Okay. That's a big stumbling block for many people. And we like to share with you, it's just not that complicated. And we want to help you get past that mystery of RFP writing. So I've got this presentation I want to give you today that's going to really drive in exponentially, meaning I'm going to step in and actually show you an example, a live example, how quickly we can pull something together. And in fact, one of my writing customers or members, which is an advanced level services, she's offered to let me use one of her bids that she's going to be pursuing today. I'm going to use it as an example. She may not need me after this session, though, so I don't know if maybe that's a good idea or not. No, seriously, we actually give you these tools because we don't actually have a philosophy of trying to wrap you in. We want you to learn and get out there and do it yourself. Okay, so GovSchool is the platform we created to do that. We've been doing this now really since early 2000 for teaching. As a part of that, you might ask specifically why we do this type of work and why hopefully you can tell I really enjoy what we do, and we actively engage with members all the time in a variety of topics. But that's because we have somewhat of a background education. And here's who I am. I'm also a professor. I teach in a government contractor. I've really won some 400 plus contracts in some 34 states over my career. I've been doing this for some 30 plus years. But I'm also a professor where I teach future contractor and writers how to write the contracts you respond to. I do that in an adjunct capacity. And in my work, I have reversed that and teach you really kind of what they're looking for. But actively involved in contracting, finding contracts, and teaching how to actually respond and prepare those contracts. And so that's the background I bring to the table there. I welcome you to link in with me at linkedin.com. It's my handle there is GovDirections. And a lot of you already there would come on there and ask me questions. I answer questions all the time. And not only that, but here at our organization, other founders can come together to prepare our RFP delivery in GovDirections, but some 17 other individuals helping you. And that now says 120,000 members, but we're going to pass 140,000 this coming week, if not next week. So it's we're excited about that, continue to grow. It's an exciting area. My purpose today is really to initially share with you really what's the structure of an RFP, because it's always important that you understand what you're looking at before you actually dive in there to try to solve it. Okay, and I think that's important. I'm going to walk through the sections just quickly so you can know what's important, what's not important, what are you looking for when you read a bid or an RFP, and the things I've taught them to actually prepare for you. And then I'm going to use that actual RFP that I discussed with you as an example, and I'll start a response using the RFP writing chat. And we have that available for you. That's linked in from our very front page and also on our site. And I'm going to show you how to actually get to that process. But before we begin, I'm going to give you a little encouragement because, I use this on every slide. Every presentation. It's supposed to be hard. Okay. So you're going to look at something and you're going to say, gosh, this is difficult. And if it were easy, everybody would be doing it. You wouldn't, not everybody's here this afternoon. You've chosen to step forward on at 2:00 on a Wednesday, midweek, in order to learn something more so that you can get out there and be the best at what you do. And this is a quote from Tom Hanks from A League of Their Own. It's about softball. Everybody loves softball, but if you want to be the best, it's hard. And you got to get out there and you got to practice. You got to learn new techniques and new ways to do things and stay on top of things. I never would have thought that I would be using some sort of artificial intelligence to actually write responses to RFPs. But if I don't, then I'm going to get passed by pretty quickly. Okay. And I don't want to have that happen. I want to stay on top of things. And that's why you have to kind of step in there and learn and engage. And you'll find that it actually is helpful. A lot of times when I'm dealing with my students in my class, I'm like, it's no different than, before, calculator. Now we're calculating on our phone and doing other things. But there was a time when we would do a lot of the arithmetic by hand, and you didn't have all these tools. And now we got all these excellent tools. I can go in and do averages. I can do a cost analysis very quickly with tools. In chat, in GPT technology, it's the same sort of approach. You're able to go in there, use these tools to advance your craft as well as to speed up time. And for all of us, time is important and valuable. And so the first thing you always want to do when you're looking is to really kind of identify what what the government's actually doing to engage with you. When governments engage with it, you're using they're basically of the concept of the theory of the firm. Why we contract with each other. You've got a subject matter expertise. You can do something more cost effective than I can, and therefore it makes more sense for me to contract with you to do that work, and then we're both happy. Okay. And in order to do that, I've got to get your attention that I'm interested. So I'll use something maybe like a request for information, request for qualifications, source of salt, basically saying, hey, I'm in the field. I'm looking to see if there's anybody interested in working with us. Tell me a little bit about your company. Having something ready to go, your capability statement becomes very important during this process, and it's always the initial stage. I was just dealing with someone yesterday. In fact, he had responded to a source of salt. He got a response back, and he had to bid back and give him an actual bid within 3 days. And I was based on the conversation, it was clear to me he was going to win that bid based on that initial source of salt response. He just had to do everything right and got it out to him. Haven't heard from him today. I'm sure hopefully he's busy getting the work planned. Okay. But then we have things like the invitation to quote, invitation to bid, something that's very straightforward, simple to a little bit more advanced, maybe a lot more specifications, but to the point where you're actually going in and you are at a point where you can just give them a price, somewhat straightforward. Okay. And then we have what I consider my favorite is that request for proposal. And we say, why is it your favorite, Mark? And sometimes it's a more complex one. The reason why is because it really does give you an opportunity to shine, to tell them what you know and demonstrate that you really are a subject matter expert, and they should be counting on you, and get them confident, going in with an air of confidence, making the contracting officer really understand you are the right choice for that contract. And so when they do that RFP, they're giving you the option to really to sell yourself a little bit more than just filling in a price. Frankly, some of those are just the ones I even kind of avoid. I don't really want the ones that are just writing in a dollar number. I want the ones where I'm engaging. Okay. And that's why I like the RFP a little bit better. But what I show you today can be used for all of these. Okay. Now, I just always wanted to just step back. The first question I always get is, Mr. Knowles or Mark, or isn't this a done deal? What am I even wasting my time? I'll see this RFP. It looks like it's been written for my competitor. I don't really have a shot at it. And I step back and say, listen, if you see the terminology request for proposal, that means the government is actively soliciting your offer. Okay. They haven't made a choice. You got a shot. So take it seriously. This is a solicitation. Governments have all kinds of ways to engage with you without going through an RFP process. And frankly, it could take them a year in the making to get to this point, sometimes even a little bit longer. So it's an elaborate decision-making process. So they want you to know that they're interested. It's a solicitation. You're competing against others, and they're going to explain to you how to really go to give them the answer that they want. So it's not really left it out. In fact, at this stage, it's their job to be what's referred to as the ABCs: accuracy, brevity, clarity, making sure you understand you got all the information you need in order to respond to that RFP request. And it's done through a bidding process, meaning you are going to be sized up against someone else. So you need to understand who else is bidding, what they're doing, how they're going about it, doing some price, and not just price research, but performance research, seeing who your competition is. Price is oftentimes a very low statistical part of the decision-making to get to a point where the next stage is at. Okay. And so that doesn't really come into play a lot of times until the end. And so you really want to make sure you're selling yourself the right way. And that's why it becomes really important to encourage you really expand on your writing skills using technology like a chat GPT or the GovDirections RFP writer. I'm going to show you how to do that. But they're always interested in you and your procurement of a commodity, a valuable asset of some sort. And you use that word valuable because they want you to take it seriously. And you want you to submit a business proposal. That's the true definition, because this is a business transaction. I actually had somebody the other day who just basically handwritten something, sent it back and faxed it to them. I'm like, why are you doing that? You need to really step back and take it seriously, take it professionally, carry it to the next level. I'm going to show you some tools to help you do that. So whenever you first get the RFP, that they're sending out, or even any of the other instruments I just showed you, you're going to see these typical parts. Now, you're going to see statement of work, technical specs, schedule, two sides of the schedule. How much time you have to respond? What you got to do to actually do the work. Okay. You got your contract terms and conditions. This is your profit center. I'm actually dealing with a client just a few minutes ago before we got online. Problem with the contract. We have to look into the details because that's where you can lose your shirt if you don't watch it. Okay. Lose your business eventually if you don't watch it. Don't want to have that happen. Pay attention to it. Format of the proposal. The government is the best thing about working with government contracting is they tell you what they want. So pay attention to that. Do exactly what they want. Don't make them go look for the answer. So if they're asking you questions, sometimes I just repeat the question for them. Put it in there. Put the answer right below it. They'll give you the format of everything. They tell you they want the cover letter first and then the transmittal letter. But then, for goodness sakes, don't do it reverse. Okay. And that's important. Because the first thing they're going to say is, can this person follow instructions? It may not be on the actual checklist that they have, but I guarantee you it's on the checklist. Okay. They're wanting to make sure if you can pay attention and understand what they're looking, because the last thing they'll do is hire somebody that really can't work with them and do things in response to them in the way they want it. Okay. Qualifications and experience. Qualifications are so important. Okay. And, I was just helping somebody earlier. There's a couple of quotes. I've seen it a lot of different ways. I heard it from General Alexander Haig under the Reagan administration. I heard more recently under Vice President Harris that she was running for office and other places. But you've got to sell yourself. Okay. Nobody else is going to do your favor of selling you. Okay. And if they do, it's not going to be a good sale. So make sure you get your qualifications down in a very positive way, using terminology, using these terms. I know when you talk about something and you giving some background to them, always use the two most powerful. I do a session on the two most powerful words you can put in any kind of RFP response, and that's the words "for example." Okay, if you can give an example of how you've done something and you've got experience, then that's going to be a huge selling point for you, and you want to make sure you do that. So have that information ready to go and tailored in different ways. And I'll show you how to organize information, but you can draw from in chat to use AI to do that. But you want to speak to the experience required for that actual RFP. And then always know how you're going to break down the cost and understand that. And then your evaluation criteria. Pay in particular attention to that because you need to know how you're going to win. Okay. And they're going to tell you how to emphasize. And in fact, you use that frequently whenever you basically you start your conversation and your training of your GPT to tell them, here's what they're looking for in the answer. Please make sure you cover this. Okay. And I've literally got to where sometimes I think I'm crazy because I'm talking to the chat routinely as I go along in a conversational way. I've learned to really do that. The more conversational you make it, the better results that you actually will get. And of all these right here, I want to leave specifically, I didn't spend enough time on this, but that statement of work is the most important part. Okay. And you want to make sure whenever you go and you read a statement of work that it fits you, it fits your company. Don't make you fit it. Okay. Don't do the reverse. Okay. And when you open that up and you read the statement of work, you need to hear one thing in your head, and said that Coldplay song playing in the back of it. You're the one I wanted to find, baby. Because if that's the one, you're going to know that this is the right one. Okay. And you're going to have a higher degree, higher level success of winning it. And there's things that help you in that process. Paying attention to indicators of success. If you see this in that scope of work, then you know you got a better shot at it. It could be a geographic reason. It could be a size a limitation reason. It could be the dollar volume of the project. It could be all kinds of reasons. Okay, but you got to know what that is. You got to define your part, and a big part of that is in your capability statement. You really need to make sure your capability statement speaks specifically to what you're capable of accomplishing. It's not a resume. People get so confused about that, just basically making it a resume. It's not a resume. It's what are you capable of doing? Sometimes you're capable of bringing in others. You got a team here, got a team there. A lot of people get hung up on, past performance, and it's got to be a specific assignment that I did. It doesn't really. It needs to be what you have been able to accomplish and what you have been able to be capable of in doing something. You could be as part of somebody else or part of another group. I frequently step in and I don't do a contract directly. I'm coming in as an associate or an affiliate. And that's an important way to really grow your business. It's an important way to expand, but it's also, you can speak to it on your capability statement and understanding which NAICS codes really fit you and not being all over the place. The last thing you want to do is put forward a statement that says has you I do a lot of different things, believe it or not. And I don't get, whenever I'm sending something to someone about compensation studies, which I do, it needs to speak about compensation studies. When I send something to someone for indirect cost allocation, I need to speak to indirect cost allocation. Okay. So I need to make sure it's done right. But that information, make sure it's in a presentable way in such that you can actually use it to actually go in for your using Chat GPT and the GovDirections RFP writer. So quickly, always read through an entire proposal, pay attention to the areas that we talked about. And you may even want to step in there and get chat to help me, but I usually like to go in and read it first, though, just the old fashioned reading through it. Okay. Set it aside, think about it, and then let's get to work. Okay. And, remember, work always expands to fill the time available for its completion. This is a business law. And so you need to take that time to organize and prepare. Okay. And I do things, I use a Google Drive. It's free. It's there. There's other tools that are out there, but a Google Drive. Okay. And in fact, you have our services with that. I'll show you how I step into it. But develop those indicators I talked about, making sure that they're there. It saves you time. You're not wasting your time on things that are not really in your wheelhouse. Prepare your templates. Have them ready to go. Have some information that you can draw on, and let the writing service, writing GPT, help in that learning process. And always separately, make sure you do your price research. This is important. I was just talking to somebody too about always paying attention. Always cost your business out first. It just makes so much sense. You can do comparisons, but the truth of the matter is comparative research is limited in how it can do it. If you're really going to chasing down what somebody did before, it's not really the right way to do it. You need to make sure you cover your costs, and then you need to be in the ballpark. But you can go in, you can learn from doing comparative research. And always stay updated on things. Stay on top of the game. Okay, it's important. And so let's just step in. And I believe in exponential processes, and so that means going out there and doing things. And so, how would you go about responding? So let's go in. Okay, so in your RFP account, one of the things that you can do, and you can add on with us if you don't have this yet, you can give us a call, and then they can set it up. But we have capability to add in not only your capability statement, have it ready to go. Tap there, and you'll be able to see that. Here's mine. I can always have it in front of you. Okay. And then in your drive, making sure you're organized in the correct way. This is your Google Drive. We have one set up, so we give you a lot of bells and whistles to go with it, some free things, a Dropbox, and some videos and learning. In fact, one about how to do user writing a book that I base everything on, the RFP book. But you have your templates there and stored so that you can come in, and you want to build your own templates, keep them ready to go, your cover letter, your proposal, a typical proposal, cover sheet, and so forth, in your capability statement, in your logo, and so forth. And then you're going to actually start your process of writing RFPs of interest. Okay. You have your backup, keep all those components there. Okay. Executive summaries, your qualifications, your methods, how you do things, list of your equipment. Have all this data ready to go, because it's important whenever you're trying to learn to fulfill the requirements of the actual RFP, your certifications, any forms that you have to do. Once you do one, well, you want to keep doing it, keep it stored, and then it's going to be the same thing over and over again. And then samples of your work. There becomes really important. Pictures, images, your plan, your work plan, your things of this nature. Okay, have them all there, organize them so you know where to go to pull them out. Okay, and then you got those ones that you're actually working. And let's go. Oh, I thought that was it. You're good. Okay, and then you go to the one to look back. RFPs of interest. Keep them organized. You really have 5 stages of an RFP. I have 4 on here. First one is pre-active, pre-solicitation, planning. Governments don't do anything in the dark. Okay. Right now, over the Georgia General Assembly, which is right down the street from me, they're talking about things they're going to be buying in the next, from the supplemental budget starting in March, and then through June, and then July 1, they got a whole nother budget. And there's hundreds of millions. In fact, I think there's probably close to $1 billion that's going to be spent, and they're describing it right now. Get in there and learn. And follow the governments that you work with, and stay engaged, because they're all talking about it. They have capital improvement plans, they have budgets, so you learn about them pre-active. Then you can practice more traditional business development. Get in there and say, hey, I know that we're, right now I think they're going to buy some 200 Chromebooks for somebody. Get in there and say, hey, I sell Chromebooks. Call me. Here's my card. Here's my capability statement. Well, you have to have that done. Okay. But once it goes to an active stage, then you want to start it in a folder. And I always like to follow through once I submit it and keep them on here until I win it. Okay. But in the active stage, and I've got one over here I'm going to do in another folder for someone. Okay. It's in, they're bidding on something in Orlando, and they've got all the documents that they've downloaded here. Okay, and we have it somewhat ready to go. Okay, some of the details. Make sure I've got all of them on. Here's the actual RFP. Okay, now I'm going to actually download this on my desktop because it just works a little bit better this way. Just let me download it. Okay, now, and I might want to go ahead and add in some other things like my equipment list, some of the other things. I'm not going to do it for this demonstration here, but in general, you may want to, if it's got other details, statement of works, things of that nature, you'll download it. Okay. Now, if you have the GPT, if you don't, then I'll show you just a quick way to bump to it. I think I got a link here. This, if I got GovDirections, I got on the front page link. Okay. Okay. The RFP writer, add it. You can step into, this is built within ChatGPT. Okay. If you don't have it, you can search in GPT and you can go in and explore. Okay. And type in, it comes up as popular because of the type of work I do generally. But you could, if it doesn't come up, then just type in GovDirections RFP writer. Okay. We got 544 engaged right now. Okay. And you could come in, and if you don't mind, do me a great favor and say you like this. Okay. That's, those ratings. I'm not sure how you get them, but some people take the time and some people, my competitors, get in there and just dislike me sometimes. That's not the best thing. But if you like us, say you like us. Okay. But you can start the chat. Okay. Click on that and it starts. It's generally free to some level of use. I've got an advanced system with this because of other things. Okay. Now I've got in there some basic prompts in how to do things, and we have a video on how to use it as well, which I'm going to talk to today. But the first thing you always want to do is make sure the system has your capabilities. Okay. And understands that. So the answer I'm going to write to this particular RFP, it's not going to be the best one because I'm going to use my capability statement instead of the company I'm working with as just as an illustration. And they actually have the capabilities of doing this. I do not have the capabilities of actually going in and serving them in this capacity. Okay. So we'll do that. So what I want to do is I'll say, hello, Jack. I want to start, and you got to type right, a new response for a request for proposal that I have been interested in pursuing. Get friendly with it, get to know it. Okay. Here are my capabilities. Okay. And then drop in your capability statement as much information as you can to help chat understand who you are. Okay. And in the process. Okay? I think I should give it a nickname. I have to think. I'll call it Eagle. Eagle. That's our logo. We'll call it Eagle. But Eagle, let's help the Eagle help us. Okay. Don't make it hard. As much details as you can. Okay. Here's my capability statement. Okay. Drop it in. Okay. And I'll go ahead and introduce myself. Give them what the details. Okay. It'll come to review it for me. Okay. Thank you. Always be polite. I think it helps. Thank you. Chat. Oh, Eagle. No, I'm not about Eagle. Just thank you, chat. Please use my capabilities, okay, to prepare a detailed cover letter. You know what? Before I even start, someone say, please review this request for proposal. Can't type today. And identify the requirements for responding. Now, whenever I do this, now, once again, I told you earlier, I like to read my own. So it's important that you do that. I really do think that. But we want to get chat, also interested because sometimes it potentially, even says here, sometimes it doesn't, it can make mistakes. And we want to learn from that. Okay. We're not going to use it to actually prepare the final response. It's going to be an outline and we're going to read through it. We're going to make sure we do everything correctly. Okay. And so I've downloaded the RFP. Okay. drag it in here, drop it. Okay. And only want to sum it. Okay. Yeah. So it's introducing my capabilities. It's introducing the actual RFP. Okay. In the meantime, while it's doing that work, I'm going to go over there back into my folder. Okay. I'm going to start a response back, which I've done here. Okay. And start getting it prepared. Okay. Some details. Now I have already went in and broke down all the action items and the details, and you're going to want to do this with your own tables to make sure you got everything prepared. Okay. And I'm going to go out and see I need a cover sheet, which I'm going to do separately. Chet can do that for me, but I'm going to do it a little bit better. But I need a transmittal letter. Okay. Okay. On in. Thank you for that. Nice review. Please, please, and thank you. Powerful words. Please prepare a transmittal letter that highlights my capabilities to the requirements of the RFP. Okay. I think I can shorten it at this point. Should pick up on it. Okay. There you go. Okay. Now they're going to think, Mr. Knowles, why are you bidding on this project again? You have no qualifications. Okay, but it's not. It's going to make me look good. Okay. And I want to read through that. Okay, as it's going through there. Okay. And now it gave me a summary because it didn't really have a lot. Now, so if you've got a lot, it's probably going to give you a little bit more. Okay. So I've got my letter written. Okay. Going in, drop them. Okay. And then I'm going to go back and dance around with it a little bit and maybe put my logo in. I'm going to have these things ready to go and just drop it in, just do the basic inserts and so forth. Okay. And going in. And then I'm gonna pay attention to the actual letter. I'm not just gonna turn in the letter. I'm gonna read it, make sure it's a good outline. And I'm gonna go in and potentially change some of the bolding, making sure that it's emphasizing me, because the flavor of this response should be me, not chat. Okay. And as you train it more and more, and you get samples of things and say, here's my last RFP, here's what I did previously, then it'll start using some of that language, some of that same, come more and more tailored to your personality. Okay. And that's important, scary almost, but it works and it's helpful to you. Okay. And make sure there's nothing in there. Sometimes you want to also make sure there's not something that is ghosting. Okay. Ghosting basically means it's just coming out of nowhere. And it doesn't really apply to you. And you didn't really do that. And it's kind of embedded it a little, embellished it a little bit. You don't want to have that happen. Okay. And but I also would like to always go back in and make sure the formatting is just slightly different, because I don't want to be a dead giveaway that I've used chat technology to actually write a response back. So I won't come in and put it in the right way. For goodness sakes, please don't forget to add your phone number or things like that. Now I would have using a trained one that I'm actually doing that. Okay. Now got that part. What I want to do second is to come in and say, okay, thank you. Please prepare a detailed technical proposal. I like the word detail. Use that word detail. Okay. Proposal in response to their requirements. Please. Now I'm going to give it some other information potentially. Please use my past performance. Give examples within the response. Okay. May give it some other instructions. Okay. Give it instructions. Go in. Let's get it, see what happens. Okay. Now, whenever you get in here and you're getting your response, you may want to come back in, like it gave me an introduction, maybe not an executive summary. Okay. Or I might want to highlight something else. Okay. You see, it made up some things. I haven't done this. Okay. So we need to be careful about that. Okay. You have to read through it, make sure that these things, like, see, I actually did this work, but I did it for compensation studies and not necessarily for custodial services. So it's picking up on mine. So you got to make sure your capability statement is the right one for this particular RFP. Okay. And so that's important. Okay. And so my contracts with these other organizations, Alabama Department of Training, Forsyth County, those were contracts that I did in Eaton County, South Dakota. I love Rapid City. It's a great area. And so I do a lot of work there, but that has nothing to do with custodial work. Okay. Now, pull that out. It's always going to give me a conclusion. I like the fact that it has a conclusion. I usually don't sign it at the end like that chat particularly wants. Okay. So I might come back in, get that technical proposal, go in, and then I'm going to use this as a guide. Okay. I might drop that in. Okay. Now, in this particular one, I don't want to drop it on this one because this is another client, so I'm going to take that out. But drop it in and then really go in and work it to kind of make sure that you have it laid out the right way. Okay. Let me just open up a new document so I can do that. Okay. And I'm going to show you how I'm not going to go in and actually, and it's going to give me some details here. I'm always going to go in and add my own table of contents. Okay. And when I do that, I'm going to reformat. Okay. You see how it's giving me these lines? I might take the lines out. It's giving me a heading 2. So I'm going to have to go in there and see, how that works out. I'm going to use standard Google insert table of contents. Okay. I'm always going to give a table of contents. It's a business proposal. It's professional. Google does it for me. Okay. And then if I change something, it updates it for me. Okay. But chat has laid it out and given me an easy way to do this, give me the right headings and so forth. Okay. And always going to date my proposal, things like that. Okay. Laid out. Now, it might be that the scope or maybe let me go look in here. Special event cleaning, staffing plan. Now, they might want to I think they wanted an operations plan. So I could come back in and say, thank you for trying. For that first try, can you? No, I'm not going to ask them to say, please expand to include, because I know chat can do this. Chat's got talent. Okay. Please expand to include a comprehensive, using words like detailed, comprehensive, and that it tells the system that you want more. Okay. Operational plan that engages with some more instructions. Okay. 20 individuals who work for 3 supervisors. Okay. On a 7 or 5-day work plan. Give it some instructions that you know that you're going to need. Okay. And start training in your training. Okay. So it's going to go back in, help me with it. Oh, here comes the operational plan. Give me not only that, give me a table. Okay. I like the tables. See, expanding. Potentially is also an organization chart that covers those positions. Okay. Building me some graphics that I can potentially work with. And there's other tools to go in. You can actually design you a logo, make it using color and so forth. You have to instruct it. Okay. So use that. So it's thinking right now. It's thinking, why didn't you ask me that before? No, I don't think it does. Okay. And so see how detailed it gets for me. Now I can go in and look at that. Now I'm not going to use that organization. That's too comfort. That's too, that is a wild chart. Please use a standard version. He's playing with me now. Okay. Okay, so see how we're engaging, going back conversational. It can be challenging, and you learn this as you go along, and you stay on top of things. Okay, there we go. Perfect. Perfect. Okay, please use this style in the future. Okay, give it feedback so they know. Okay, so I got me a table, and I'm gonna be able to download that. Okay, and I'll come down. I can upload it and have that there. So standard hierarchy chart. Okay, so that tells me. So what I've tried to do today for you is give you some real live examples in a 45-minute session, how to really go in and learn to respond and write using new technology, generative technology. I want to encourage you to add that GovDirections Writer RFP, and remember to say you like it. It always helps us. Thank you very much. Also, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel to get a copy of this afterwards. And certainly, if you like it, give us a thumbs up. It really does help us, and I do appreciate that. But I'm going to stop here, and I'm going to actually stop the recording. I'm going to thank those who came on YouTube. Remembering our motto, really, the only source of knowledge is experience. Is Einstein's famous quote. Always get in there and try, do, practice, and you're going to find yourself being more successful with that approach. So I thank you for that. So let me just stop the recording. Record. Let's see, stop. How do I do that? Well, I may have to keep recording. There we go.